Today we're going to be talking about a few things. My first thing that I want to talk about is what platforms are best for your business. So ultimately, that information is going to depend on your specific industries. So what you're interested in and what your target audience is. I see a lot of the times with the small businesses that we work with, they are aware that there's Facebook and there's Instagram, and they feel like that they should be doing everything, but that's not necessarily true. So what platform you're going to use really depends on your target audience, so your demographic. So you need to know things like the age of your demographic, the location, their gender. That stuff's all important, and for the most part, people do know that information. But a really big motivator for your target audience is knowing their motivations, their goals, and their frustrations. So if you don't know enough about your demographic, like if you just know the basics, but you don't know really what their pain points are or what their needs are as a consumer, that's not really going to be helpful for you in creating content. So knowing how they receive content, what the best way is to receive content, what they need from you as a business owner, and the kind of information that you can provide is ultimately what's going to help you be successful when you're creating content. And when you're doing social media, it's not just about posting pictures or videos and getting likes or comments. It's really about engaging your following and creating a brand. So I see sometimes small business owners are really passionate about their business, which is great, but they don't have any branding. So branding is anything from colors, fonts, logos. Anytime that you're posting on social media, that kind of information should be present on anything you're doing, and you should have a brand voice. So for us, Simple Desk, we help small businesses in the area with outsourcing their workload. So if you need help with social media, if you need help with admin, if you need help with bookkeeping, that's kind of what we do. And our brand voice is just educational, but also kind. So we want you to feel like you're a friend to us, and that when you're looking at our posts, that you feel that you're engaged and that you're respected as a business owner. So that's ultimately what our brand voice is, and that's present through everything we do. We're just very informative, whether that be an email, whether that be a video or a Facebook post. So that should be something that you should always be focusing on when you're creating content on social media. So I'm going to break down today 4 different platforms that you can use. The first thing I'm going to talk about is what kind of platforms are good for your business. So as I'm going through them, just keep in mind your target audience and who you're trying to reach. So the first one I want to talk about is LinkedIn. So this is really ideal for small businesses and B2B marketing. So if you're a small business like us that works with businesses, LinkedIn is going to be a great resource for you. I don't recommend LinkedIn if you're a large scale business and trying to do marketing plans that way. It's not as effective as it is for small businesses. If you're on the less creative side, or if you don't have a lot of time to create imagery, LinkedIn is actually great for that reason. You can do things like just post a picture of yourself or post a picture of your business, and it's really text heavy. What you're saying in your text is kind of what works really well on LinkedIn. So if you're not as creative, this might be a good option for you to reach out to other small businesses and kind of build your own network. I kind of view it as a resource, LinkedIn. It's good for making connections. I find this is ideal for boutique agencies, marketing agency, graphic designers, freelancers, that kind of stuff. With Facebook, everybody has a Facebook page, so you can reach your demographic there. We are finding that there is an older demographic now that is kind of flocking to Facebook. So if your target audience is the older audience, you're probably going to want to stick to Facebook as opposed to Instagram, because Facebook ultimately is where your target audience is going to be. It's a lot more user-friendly for the older kind of generation. And it's just like easier for them to navigate. So I do recommend, if you've got an older target audience, that you stick to Facebook marketing. Facebook paid advertising is massive right now. If you're kind of well-versed with Facebook, you'll notice there's something called the algorithm, which basically Facebook scores every post that you put on to Facebook in comparison with your competition and the content that's being put out there. They do prioritize family and friends content over page likes. So if somebody's liked your page, they're not necessarily going to see your content. So right now we're seeing a lot of pages really struggle with organic reach, and that's because of the Facebook algorithm. So what I recommend doing for small businesses is actually putting a little bit of money behind paid Facebook advertising, because you can ultimately narrow your scope. You're not just putting something out there and hoping people see it. You can specifically target a demographic. So that would be age, location, interest. You can even target things like jobs, pages that they've liked on Facebook that are maybe relevant to yours, and you can capture their attention that way. I highly recommend doing that. I find that they are really effective, especially in capturing like the older generation, if that is your target demographic. It also is really good for niche marketing. Instagram and Facebook are really good for niche markets. So if you're kind of a niche business, what that means is like you're really specialized, then Facebook is a good opportunity for you to do some marketing. So I found success in my personal like work life with spas, financial advisors, planners using Facebook, and electricians, just people that have like a specific industry. They are finding success on Facebook, both with organic content and paid content. If I'm talking too fast, I get super passionate about marketing and I have so much knowledge. If I'm talking too fast, or if you want me to repeat something, just let me know. There's a lot to know in the world of marketing, so don't be afraid to just let me know in the chat if I'm talking a little fast. Next, on to Instagram. So if you have a demographic that's millennials, so like somebody my age, like 28 to 30, maybe middle to low end 30s, and then teenagers, Instagram is going to be the platform that you're going to want to explore the most. And if you have the capabilities to create content, it's going to be a great resource for you. A lot of people don't have the time to do Instagram posts, like create things, but I think sometimes they tend to overthink it. So what I use Instagram for is I use it to just kind of give like, I use it as an educational resource, but then I also use it to just kind of give an insight look into what goes on in our day-to-day life as business owners, and like just trying to give like an inside look, because the more personalized you can get in your marketing, the more people are loyal to you and your brand. And statistically, a larger portion of the audience on Instagram is women. So if you've got a lot of your demographic is women, Instagram may also be a good idea for you to explore when it comes in terms of like marketing. I found success personally with bakeries, breweries, photographers, local artisans using Facebook to kind of promote their products and talk about what goes on in their day-to-day lives. The engagement is really high, and people have done a lot of like admin stuff on Instagram. Like they'll get direct messages because people tend to shy away from websites, as I'll kind of go over later on as we're talking about how to use the platforms for public relations. And then the last one I'm going to talk to you about is Pinterest. So Pinterest is mostly women aged 25 to 64. This is an ideal avenue if you're a hobbyist, a crafter, a DIY. It's very content driven. So if you've got somebody on your team that can create content, or you have the time to do that, I highly recommend exploring Pinterest, because it's you can create great content and then also use that across multiple platforms if that's something that you want to do. Right now, Pinterest actually has 3.8 times the purchasing power of Facebook and Instagram, which is crazy because it's got a larger scale, but it's a lot of people that are already motivated to do something. You're capturing them while they're trying to find a solution or create a recipe, or they're trying to find something. You are ultimately setting yourself up to be searched and to be used as like an expert in your industry. So I always recommend, if that's something that like if you're a hobbyist or a craft like if you're into crafting or DIY, you're gonna want to capture people like that. It's easy to link back to your website as well on Pinterest. So I always say to people, sometimes they create content and they don't link back. You want to link back to your most effective pages. So if you're doing a pin on a product, you're going to want to link specifically back to that product. You're not just going to want to do like a dead link. Everything should have a purpose. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit later about how to do that. So again, this avenue is ideal for people that do home decor, clothing brands, artists, food-related businesses, etc. No questions on that. So I'm going to combine element 2 and 3. So how you can use social media, and then setup. So I'm going to talk to you about how you can use social media for PR and admin, and then customer support. And I'm going to preface this with talking about my experience at Simple Desk. So right now I have a client in Halifax that handles all of her bookings and stuff on Facebook and Instagram. So she has a whole website set up. You can book right directly online, and primarily people are really shying away from doing stuff themselves. What they actually do is they message her on Facebook and Instagram, and they want help setting up an appointment. So I handle all of the admin stuff. I respond to their questions. I book them in using the calendar that's synced with the Facebook page. People a lot of the times are specifically like, they just want a simple solution. They don't want to have to search for it. So that comes to my first point. When you're setting up your Facebook page, if you're a new business or if you've already set up your Facebook page, make ssure all your contact information is on your about page. I see a lot of times, like, because Simple Desk is outsourcing, we take on workloads, I will get access to Facebook pages, and I'll get notifications all the time saying that the Facebook page isn't set up properly. They're missing emails, they're missing phone numbers, and you're really missing out on converting leads by not having that information on there. It sounds pretty like simple, but a lot of people don't do it. So like, to harken back to talking about the website, if somebody's found a post that you've posted that they like and they're interested in you, most of the time they're just going to go on your Facebook page and look at your about section and either call you or email or direct message you. They're not going to go on your website, take a look. People don't do that. They just want fast and easy solutions. So if all your information isn't on your Facebook page, you're going to want to do that. The more steps that you make them take, the less likely you are to convert them. And that's, as a small business owner, any lead that you can get is very precious. So you want to be capitalizing wherever you can. In terms of using it for customer relationships, I say all the time to people, please respond to comments on your post. This will help you grow a relationship with your following. It builds your brand voice, brand loyalty. And the more people feel like they're being heard or being talked to, the more, and they feel like they know you personally. And as a small business, they're going to want to support you more because they feel like they know you. You're not just a separate entity or somebody that does something. You're a person to them and you have value. So the more that you're able to make yourself on a friendly basis with your following by just responding to comments, the more likely you are to continue to get comments and likes on your post, but also for them to support you in whatever endeavor that you're doing. So whether that be product sales, whether that be signing up for a webinar, that's the best way to capture people. And I always say to people too, don't delete negative comments. I know sometimes people are unhappy and they have nothing better to do than to just write a negative comment. My solution for that is to just there's an option to hide the comment so that they still see that their comment's there. I always try to respond as well as I can to any issues, but if the person's just like not having it, sometimes people are just having a bad day, just hide the comment, because if you delete it, then sometimes people will kind of go on a rampage, and you don't want that. You want to be able to address issues. People are human, address them, be honest about any issues that you have, and then just try to manage your social media as best you can. That's why I always recommend having somebody that can manage your social media pages, or you need to delegate a certain amount of time during the day to manage your page to make sure everything's copacetic. Facebook Messenger. So respond as often as you can, as fast as you can. You don't want somebody to message you wanting to book an appointment in the morning and you don't respond to them till 8 p.m. at night. The faster that you can respond to them, the more likely you are to retain them as a customer. Because again, everybody feels like they're number one and you want to make them feel that way. So again, as fast as you can respond to people, I do recommend doing that. You can set up your messenger for the following options. You can do automated responses. So if somebody messages you, you can do like a quick little like, thank you for your interest in my company. We work in the hours of so-and-so and so-and-so, and then we'll get back to you as soon as possible. That automated response kind of seems a little silly, but people feel like they're being heard rather than just leaving a message and then not being responded to. You can also set up payment requests, and you can create appointments. So I'm going to show you after I talk about all things that you can do. I'll show you really quick. I'll do a screen share about how you can set up your Facebook page to do all that. When you're messaging people as well, like if you're going to use it to book appointments, you can also use labels to track the effectiveness of your campaign. So if you're doing Facebook marketing, like Facebook ads, and somebody comes from a Facebook ad, like messages your page directly, you can actually attach labels to that messages so that you can see, oh, they came from this ad that I ran. You can label them based off of their needs, and that just keeps everything really like tight and consistent. So if you're ever looking for something in your messengers, you can sort by label and find that information. So I always say to people, if you can be really tidy with your admin when it comes to social media, I'd really recommend doing that. And you can also sync your face. Like if you're going to take bookings online, if you're a small business that takes bookings, you can set that up on your Facebook page and then sync it with your personal calendar. So that way you can prevent any double bookings. And then you can just have it on your phone or whatever and see bookings come in. So I will show you how to do that here shortly. Another thing that I also like to talk about is showcasing your services. So there is a section on Facebook that you can set up your page to just talk about your services. Again, people are not going to your website and taking a look. They want to have all the information on Facebook. So if they can see that your services are there with a little bit of a description and price, you're more likely to retain them that way. And another thing that I like to talk about people doing is Facebook groups. So you'll remember when I was talking earlier about the Facebook algorithm and how that's been challenging businesses to really get their content out there. Facebook groups is a great way to actually beat that algorithm. So like you're not going to be posting anymore and worrying about whether or not it's going to get comments and people are going to see it. A closed Facebook group actually is a great resource. You can invite your following into the Facebook group and still talk about the same content that you would on your page, but the people in that group actually get notified, so they'll know when you post, as opposed to just seeing it organically on their timeline. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. And then you can continue fostering relationships this way, because a closed group is kind of like an intimate way of connecting with your following. So I recommend, if you're having a really hard time with your social media and you're not seeing the engagement that you want, to just create a Facebook group and ask people to join in and see if you're having any change that way. If you're seeing more notifications, if you're seeing more engagement, because I said they will get directly notified as opposed to just maybe seeing your content or maybe not. And the great thing about Facebook too is it's free PR. So when I say PR, I'm not talking about the old school where you write like a PR like script and then have people publish it in newspapers. There's a whole new world of digital PR that people don't know about and they're leaving unexplored. So a good way to just keep your PR on point is keep your brand voice consistent, and make sure that you're using that through any post that you do. Use images and videos, share press releases. If you're going to do a press release, share it on your blog and use that as a Facebook post. And use boosted posts to spread your message farther. So if you're not confident in doing Facebook ads, you can actually boost your current post to reach a larger audience. So that's just another way that you can kind of reach more people and not have to really worry about not understanding the Facebook ad world. And then lastly, Facebook Pixel. So this one might be a little bit tricky, but there's actually a little code that Facebook provides that you can just slip on your website and track who goes there and then who's on Facebook. So the Facebook Pixel essentially gives you like an in-depth analysis into who is visiting your website, and then you're able to retarget with Facebook ads. So I always recommend that if you're able to do that. It's super simple to do. It's literally just a little bit of code embedded, and then you set up your trigger points. So if somebody visits a web page and you want to kind of capitalize on that and bring them back, then you can do a targeted Facebook ad to essentially reel them back in. Christian, will you have a summary or checklist available after the webinar? Yes, I can provide my document for you with just like a summary of everything that I talked about, because there is a lot of information. That's why I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get it all into 1 hour, because there's just so much stuff to talk about, but I'm just trying to keep it very like to the basics. These are the basic things that you should be doing that are really going to help you as a small business owner. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to try to share my screen here with you. And I'll just show you what I've been talking about, because sometimes people learn visually, so this might help you see what I'm talking about here. All right. So I'm going to do my desktop. I'll share with you. Don't mind my messy desktop. Okay, so this is a Simple Desk Facebook page. So as you can see, we've got our bookings here, and we've got a drop-down list of services. So what specific services we're offering? So bookkeeping, admin, social media, and then we have a business academy, which is essentially free, well, not free, but it's like affordable services to kind of help you learn. And you can book these appointments when you're interested, and that will sync to our calendar and let us know that we've got an appointment. Then if you come down here to the home section, it says services here. You can see all the services are listed as well. So the way that you do that, the way that you set everything up is here. This is a mock Facebook page I have for you. If you go to settings here, there's a ton of different options available. So you'll see we have appointment settings here. I'm going to click on there. So you see it'll give you a bunch of information. So general, they'll list available appointments. So as people book, time slots will cross out so people can't double book. We've got our services listed, so it just kind of combines it with the bookings. This is what I use for the appointments, and then you can kind of set your time. So set your business hours or when it's best for people to book appointments with you, and this is what I use all the time. You can set up payments as well. Everything that I'm talking about is easily accessible on Facebook under the settings tab. It's just knowing where to look. So I've clicked on the payments option. You can select your currency, and then it'll come up on Facebook. You can request a payment directly on Facebook Messenger. So that just eliminates any need that you have for like maybe a third-party site if you're going to be taking payments. If that's not quite in the budget for you, then this is a great way to kind of save money that way. And that's basically what I use when it comes to doing it, like using Facebook for booking appointments and like admin stuff. Like I said, I currently do admin for a company, and they just use Facebook and Instagram to book all their appointments. So it's super easy to do, and it saves them a lot of time and money from having to like do multiple things or pay for multiple things. Okay, on to the next one. Okay, so Instagram. So what I usually recommend for Instagram is that people get really focused on talking about their products or services, and it comes off as very disingenuous. People just feel like they're being pitched to, but there's no specific reason. So what I usually say is if you're going to be exploring Instagram, if it's good for your target demographic, give a behind the scenes look into your business. So be authentic, talk about what goes on in your day-to-day. You can still create beautiful images and videos doing this. It just gives a little bit more personality to your brand, and again, kind of harkens back to that brand loyalty. People, the more they get to know you, the more that they want to support you, and that we've seen a lot of success in that with Simple Desk. Like Jenny's built a lot of relationships online, and people just are always supporting us, whether or not they're actually utilizing their services. They're always recommending us. Word of mouth has been great because we've been able to foster these relationships. So anytime that you can just be really authentic and talk about your brand, I highly recommend doing that. Again, you're going to want to respond to customer comments as quickly as possible, and encourage followers to generate their own content. So for example, say you're a local brewery and you have people taking pictures and tagging you about your beer, or just as a family enjoying your brewery, just like hanging out. Engage with those pictures, comment on them, and then ask if you can use those for your own marketing efforts. So that's also a great way to save time and effort for you if you've got kind of a small team. Just ask people to use their content. User-generated content actually has a higher engagement sometimes than creating your own content, because people are like, oh, this is a really great shot, and it's just very lifestyle-y. So I do recommend using user-generated content when you can. Another way for you to kind of build your PR is to follow other businesses, but be selective about it. So we follow a lot of local businesses on our Instagram page that we have relationships with, and that essentially helps us kind of build our network. So we're kind of reaching more people, and we're kind of plugging those brands, and they're plugging us. So we're all kind of just giving really good word of mouth, especially in a local community. I do recommend making those relationships, because those people are ultimately going to help you get more business, and you're going to help them get more business. And what better way to support local than to just be talking about other people's businesses and helping them grow. You can also collaborate with businesses. We do that sometimes. We have collaborated with Sweet Sips. She does a lot of she does custom mugs. So she's done mugs for us, and she's helped us build a logo, and we've collaborated with her. We talk about her all the time and send people her way. So that's just a great way to build your network, but also kind of solidify your place in the community. When it comes to setting up your Instagram, you're going to want to create your bio wisely. It's limited in terms of characters, so make every single one count. And don't be limited by the fact that Instagram doesn't allow links in your post. What you can do is actually there's something called Linktree. Anytime that you're linking using a post, or if you've got multiple links that you want to send people to when it comes to your business, Linktree actually allows you to compile all of your links. And then it's easier for people to like engage with you that way. I find this a really good resource. So if you want a little bit more information on that later, I'd be happy to just kind of include a little blurb to get emailed to you after that, or after the webinar.
Teresa, I'm just going to
Yeah.
stop you there for a second.
Yeah.
So we have about 4 minutes and 5 seconds until Zoom cuts us off.
Okay.
So what I can do is either we can wrap up in 4 minutes, which or I can send everyone a link and we can sign back in again and we can continue on.
It doesn't matter to me. Whatever you think is
whatever you like.
I can
content to go through, then we'll just keep on going and I'll send everyone the link.
Yeah, if that's okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, I will send everyone the link. You keep going, and whenever we get kicked off, you guys just sign on to the new one.
All right, sounds good. Okay. I'll try not to be long-winded. There's just a lot of information. And I find sometimes I really am very passionate about helping small business owners because they're so passionate about what they do, but the marketing is not quite there. So I'm always really enthusiastic about how I can help them essentially achieve what they're wanting to achieve. And doing little things like this is really helpful. Again, you're sometimes putting a website on your page makes it a lot easier for people to get where they want to go or where you want to send them. Make sure that when you're doing an Instagram page, this may sound silly, but a lot of people just create like an organic Facebook page. They don't actually set it up for Instagram business. If you don't set it up for Instagram business, it's super easy to convert, but that just gives you the metrics. So you're able to track how your posts are operating. You're able to track demographics. That's the kind of information that's going to help you build like a strong marketing package. So make sure that you've got that on, and then you're looking at that information, because that's just going to help you grow as a company. I also say if you're a product-driven or a service-driven small business, consider brand ambassadors. So that's a affordable PR for you. It's free. You can leverage their pre-existing following. Sometimes it's just as easy as being like, hey, here's say if you're a coffee company and you create coffee grinds and you know somebody's like a really big influencer and they've got a good reach, you can actually just send them a little care package and ask them to review. Those people that are really influencers in social media, like on Instagram, they already have a high following and they create some pretty awesome graphics. So again, you're getting a free PR at the cost of like maybe what it costs, like what a product costs, if you're at that step where you can get some brand ambassadors. So you're getting free PR, you're getting great content, because those are the people that can create Instagram worthy content. You can use that on your Facebook, on Instagram, so you don't have to create anything. And then you're just going to be leveraging their pre-existing following. So if they've got a large following, it's more people being driven to your page to interact with you. I've found this really successful personally. I have, in my 5 years, I worked for a publishing company, and the owner actually had like a healthy line for pets. We did brand ambassadors to talk about some outdoor pet products that we had, and we generated a lot of sales from that, and we kind of garnered a bigger following because those brand ambassadors who are known for what they're known for plugged us and our company. We got more following and we gained more revenue. So that's always something to consider if you're at that point in terms of marketing. I also recommend that you link your Facebook and your Instagram accounts together to cross post. That just saves you time, but make sure that the content is relevant. So some sizing for Facebook is different than it is for Instagram. So just keep that in mind as you're designing, or if you're cross posting. It's just a good way to keep your branding consistent, as long as it follows the rules for creating things in Instagram and Facebook. You can set up quick replies if somebody messages you on Instagram. So again, if you don't have a dedicated social media person, or if you've only got a certain time in the day, you can get people, you can set up an automation and then go and respond to the comments after. If you sell products, you can set up Instagram shop for your business. So you can just have a